Welcome to the Prepare to Prosper podcast, episode 6, where we prepare today to prosper tomorrow. And in today's episode, we're going to go through the 7 basic needs that everybody needs in order to live. But before we do that, let's discuss where we've been for the last few episodes so we can put these 7 needs into a better understanding. So we made a list of all the emergencies we might face, and then we listed them in order of most likely to happen to least likely. So most likely stuff to happen is like getting a flat tire, your spouse then next might be something like your spouse going to the hospital, and the next one might be losing a job. These are no particular order. This list should be dependent on you. But then the next most likely might be something like an economic depression or recession, then a depression, and then like an asteroid hitting the Earth. And that's not very likely to happen. So we have this list so we know what we need to prepare for first. And as we prepare for those more likely things, it becomes easier and easier to prepare for these big Hollywood type disasters that might happen once in our lifetime, but may not happen to us at all. May not happen in once a generation or once every 4 or 5 generations. So that's those lists we made in the past few episodes. If you haven't made them, go back and watch those episodes. They're like 10-minute episodes. You can go knock them out pretty quick and go through and make these lists. But today, what we're going to discuss are these 7 needs. And they're water, food. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I listed them all out. Water, food, shelter, security, power, heat, and health. So let's start with water. And we're not going to go into huge detail how to store water in this episode, but each one of these needs we're going to break out into its own individual episode. So we're just going to do a quick summary and primer for all these needs. And we're also going to, in the future episodes, discuss how we provide for these needs for like short-term, medium, and long-term emergencies. So the first one's water. Well, you need water every day. Yeah, you should carry a water bottle. This is a Boy Scout water bottle, an old Boy Scout Nalgene bottle. We also have Life Straw bottles with filters in them. Those are really nice because you can fill them up anywhere. But you'll see in a lot of survival things that you can go 3 days without water, and you only need a gallon of water per day. Okay, well, you can go 3 days without water, but you're not going to be functioning well. You're going to be miserable. That's absolute emergent. Yes, you can go 3 days without water, but let's not plan to go 3 days without water. Let's not plan on going a day without water. I want whenever you're thirsty and need water, you can just grab some water and drink it. So, also we only need a gallon of water per day. That's the bare minimum. Some people it's a little less. So take your weight, like I'm 210 pounds. You take your weight, convert that to ounces. So that'd be 210 ounces. And then you need to drink that, or half that much. Yeah, half that much. Sorry, I'm not as prepared for the water one. Like I said, we're going to go more detail for that. But that ends up being about 3 quarts, 3 liters for most people. And we're going to go into a lot more detail and show you the math in better detail in the next episode. But so roughly 3 of these just for drinking. So that if you only have 1 gallon per day, that leaves 1 gallon to take a shower and clean up with, 1 gallon for flushing the toilet, or 1 quart rather, to do all these tasks. 1 quart, take a shower, 1 quart to flush the toilet, and 1 quart to do all your cleaning or cooking, and 1 quart to do all your cleaning around the house. 1 quart is not going to do all 4 of those things. In reality, you need closer to like 3 gallons a day, or as a minimum, 5 gallons is more ideal. I've been outside working hard, like helping out with the Boy Scout camp when it's over 100 degrees outside in the summer, and I've gone through like 3 or 4 gallons in a day just drinking in those kind of situations. So I could have gotten by with only a gallon of water drinking those days, but I would have been really dehydrated, and after a couple of days of that, I wouldn't have been functioning at all. So we need more water than those people say you need. All right, and that's way too much about water. We're going to have to move through these a little bit quicker. All right, food. So we're going to go into a lot of detail on how to store food, what types of food you need, but what I want is food that, like, I got this phrase from the Survival Podcast: store what you eat and eat what you store. While it's cool to have a bunch of freeze-dried meals ready to eat stuff like My Patriot Supply stuff. Well, that stuff's cool and kind of cool to have, and I have some of that kind of stuff in my bug out bag. Also, MREs are pretty nice and cool, but you're not going to eat them every day. They're expensive. What we're going to talk about when we get to food is low-cost ways to store food that you actually eat and use on a daily basis. That way you're not wasting it, and you can rotate through it, and you don't have to worry about expiration dates and stuff like that. Shelter. Shelter comes in lots of levels, but the shelter you need to be most concerned about is your house. But also, in that episode, we're going to discuss like bug out bag shelters, how to use a vehicle as a shelter, some improvised shelters, and I'll probably put some videos eventually on my YouTube channel on making some more primitive shelters and tarp shelters and stuff like that. I think they're really cool, and I've spent a lot of time camping underneath just a tarp or a poncho. The next one's security, and for security we're not going to just talk about guns. We're going to talk about how to be more situationally aware, how to know what's going on around you, not just in your immediate surroundings, but like when you go to Walmart, knowing what's going on around you with the other people in Walmart, so you can avoid any problems, but also what's going on around your neighborhood and doing area studies and knowing that a few miles back that way is the sewer treatment plant, and if they have an incident, the hydrogen gas, or the sewer treatment plant's over that way, but anyway, the chlorine gas, we're downwind, so the wind can blow the chlorine gas this direction. So knowing that and then having an escape route the opposite direction is important to know. And having the escape route take you away from where all the traffic is. Because we got a major highway here, but I don't want to be stranded on that major highway while everybody else is trying to escape. Or knowing that less than a mile from the house is a dam, and we're downstream of that dam. But we're above the level of the reservoir, so in elevation, so there's no way we can be flooded out, but the roads may be flooded out and we get trapped, so we need to know an evacuation route of higher ground. Those kind of things is security. And yes, of course, we're going to talk about different firearms and basic what firearms you really need and how you don't need to go out and buy a ton of guns. We actually have more guns than we need it. They're kind of cool. We're not going to plan on getting rid of any, but maybe a pistol or two in the near future. But anyway, we're going to talk about basic, what few guns you need, and make it more realistic, so you don't think, oh, I need to go out, I need a sniper rifle, I need a machine gun, I need an AR-15, I need something in 30-06. Like, no, you need very few actual firearms, like 3, maybe 4, to get done everything you need to get done. Then we're going to talk about power, how to make your house use less power, how to supplement the power that's coming in from the grid, and eventually how to go off grid. I lived off grid for a while, for like 2 years when I lived in the RV before Sarah and I got married. We're also going to talk about how to keep like your flashlight batteries charged, your cell phone running, and also provide some lighting and entertainment and those kind of things in power outages, short-term like regular run-of-the-mill power outages, camping situations, bug out situations, and then also like long-term stuff if the power's never going to come back on, which is very unlikely, but we're going to discuss that, so we'll have a framework for what to build towards to be completely self-sufficient for power, or at least as self-sufficient as the average person can be. And related to that, because a lot of us, if we don't have power, the blower motors in our furnace won't work, we're going to discuss options for heat, and we're going to discuss how to keep ourselves and our family warm, how to keep the house warm, and deal with that. Also, again, if we're sleeping in our vehicle or on foot during a bug out situation, how we stay warm. All that we're going to discuss in heat. And then lastly, we're going to discuss health, basics like how to get healthier. Me and Sarah are both working to lose weight and get healthier. We're going to discuss what our strategy is and a basic outline of what I think is easy to do to get you at least started in the right direction. And then I want you to do research and figure out what diet and exercise works best for you. And I'm going to give you some ideas on how to find those things and how to start on those things and how to keep going even when you don't feel like eating healthier or you don't feel like dieting or exercising. So stay tuned for those next 7 episodes on the 7 basic needs. Again, we're going to run down them real quick. Water, food, shelter, security, power, heat, and health. Oh, and also with health comes sanitation. What do we do if you can't flush the toilet? Because that's important. And how to keep your house sanitized and clean in an emergency, because face it, in most emergencies, it's not like the earthquake or the tornado or something like that kills people. It's the disease and stuff that comes after those things. Even in like when economies collapse and stuff like that, the big disaster is not the fact the economy collapsed. It's that people don't have food, and also people usually have diseases that spread that normally when the society is good and healthy, those diseases are kept at bay. But then we're going to have to deal with those diseases. Also, we're going to also talk about the most important thing right now that's killing a ton of people, way too many people. We're going to throw in a thing about suicide in there, because when you're stressed out, you're more likely to commit suicide. So we're going to discuss how to stay calm and not get so stressed out during emergencies. So again, those 7 needs: water, food, shelter, security, power, heat, and health. And we prepare today, prosper tomorrow. Thanks for joining me.